expected to be the quarterback.
Another 3rd and long. More pressure. Down goes Schrader. Schrader sacked. Antoine Powell-Ryland.
Burgos, and they're rotating the guys in. Huga, Payne, they're all making plays. Everybody's making plays.
3rd and 12. Schrader sacked. Kendricks again. Schrader out of the end zone. Here comes the pressure. Schrader. Safety. That is Antoine Powell-Ryland and Cole Nelson, who's wearing the Frank Beamer 25 tonight.
Fake punt last week to get the 25. We saw Coach Beamer at halftime up here watching his Hokies. Fired up, proud to see the 25 jersey, and they have no answer for APR, Antoine Powell-Ryland.
Schrader. Sacks. Pollard again. 7th sack of the night.
Non-conference games, but conference games are what's important, and they're peaking at the right time.
They peaked tonight defensively. That is sack number 8.
I think they're going to be in first place alone after this week.
And welcome back to the Boundary Corner podcast, along with who I think are my co-hosts, Brian Siegler and Jonathan Talley. I am Curtis Wilson. And this episode is brought to you by Dr. Jeremy Counts at the Main Street Pharmacy, your friendly neighborhood pharmacy located at 301 South Main Street in Blacksburg. That video courtesy of ACC Digital Network. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, but 8 sacks. Boys, are y'all in the spirit for tomorrow night or what?
Let's run it, man.
Oh, yeah. We ready. We ready to get it, man. Ready to go. I actually got a basketball game to go to, so I won't be doing no trick-or-treating. My son's got a game at 7, so we'll be at the school.
You know what? I got the wood ready. I'm gonna have a fire going. We got some friends coming over. It's gonna be a nice little night. Kids are gonna go out and roll about 8 or 9 deep through the neighborhood.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Similar thing over here. We're getting up, doing a big dinner. Maybe in the cul-de-sac, Brian, probably in my garage because it's going to be cold here tomorrow night. Good evening, LeVar. How you doing tonight? He likes to mask boys. But same. And then going around the neighborhood, getting my kids a bunch of candy that they don't have any business eating. So I'm going to steal it all. But y'all was having fun tonight. This is going to be a fun show tonight because not only is it the day before Halloween, we are a day early, but between basketball, kids trick-or-treating, a bunch of other stuff, we had to come out because we couldn't get it together Wednesday. Shelton not with us on the night. He is on the injured reserve this week, a little under the weather. Hope you get better out there, Shelton. But boys, we got to talk about Tell the Truth Tuesday about the Syracuse game. We got to know the enemy in Louisville. And we got a couple news things we've got to share. One that not broke today, but it was announced today. So, Brian, raise your mask, sir. Because it ain't no way. It's a good question. Is it going to be a trick or treat? We don't know. You will find out what you think. Brian, ain't no way you could go more than 15 minutes with that mask on without sweating like 6 pounds.
You know what? I would have given it a run.
You would have given it a run?
We'll have to see what happens, man.
There we go. A lot of people joining us tonight. We appreciate all the love. But before we get into Tell the Truth Tuesday on a Monday, let's talk about a couple news and notes. Let's talk about basketball first because a big thing broke since we last came with y'all last Sunday, and that was Rodney Rice stepping away from the basketball program. Rodney Rice, one of the highest rated recruits ever in his games last year, looked solid at times, was expected to take a big step. I know we're in the middle of football season. Basketball is not too far away, but say what you say. Regardless, it's a big loss for the team.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a big loss, man. I mean, I guess I don't want to say on the positive side of it, he never we never got to see what all he could do. So it's not like we had an opportunity to build the team around him. So sometimes you can't really miss what you never had. But on the other hand, it's like kid had so much potential, and we feel like he was going to be such a big part of the team. It's like, yeah, it's horrible, and it's right before the season starts. So
yeah, and it's a guy that we saw in parts of the season last year. All right, so he can shoot the three, but he can also get to the rack too. And we haven't really seen that or had that in a little bit. So really since Boots was here. So having a player like that has that piece to their game, I think would have been important. Even if from a consistency standpoint, it sounds like MJ has kind of stepped up and taken on a little bit more of a leadership role, and that's why there was some questions there about who the starter was going to be at that spot.
all right.
Well, it's also interesting. The guy that recruited him is at Maryland. Now, as far as him stepping away, he screwed himself this year. There is no portal. The portal for basketball is not until May. Mm-hmm. So he can go enroll somewhere else. He cannot be on a team or anything like that. So he's effectively taking a year off of basketball. And for a guy who was banged last year and didn't get to play a lot, it's going to be interesting to see where he lands. Brian, what you said is what I believe is the biggest part. We know he could take it off the dribble. And how many times last year, y'all, we were sitting there and we were always just kind of screaming, we just need somebody to we need to break this 3-minute spell of not scoring and somebody just take one to the hoop, get a layup, get a foul, something. And he was going to be that guy. And, unfortunately, it is what it is. We move forward. It's going to be interesting to see how that season goes. All right, next one. And this was something that was announced a couple weeks ago, revealed tonight on ACC Network 6 to 7. I was trying to watch it, but we were eating dinner. Shout out David Cunningham. That man is a lifesaver for all the tweets he puts out. But the ACC schedule, because of the additions of Stanford, Cal, and SMU, effectively had changed. And I think we as Hokie fans, when we started looking at it, boys, it did not change for the better.
I mean, what we wanted, I feel like we got as fans.
We did.
I mean, whenever we changed up, we took a rivalry away that I think everybody was looking forward to. You can say what you want, but anytime Virginia Tech and Miami plays, I think we might not win all of them, but it's always a good time.
Oh, yeah.
And that's been a long-standing rivalry. And when they took it away, I think a lot of people were, a little upset about that. So when you look on the schedule and you see them back on there and they say, hey, this is going to be one of your permanent opponents, like, it just makes for good football. So, if you want to be the best, you got to go beat the good teams. So no matter who's on that schedule, good team, bad team, whatever kind of season they're having, we just got to go win. Because if we keep building on what we got, we'll be a good team.
Exactly. And, I mean, you love getting Miami back. You love not seeing BC on the schedule every year.
Thank God.
That's a 1-2 punch that you're happy to see. You only have to travel to the Carrier Dome once every 5 years.
Yeah.
Tell the truth about that.
So it doesn't get much better than that.
It doesn't. And it's important if you take a look, because something I was looking at is not everybody got the same amount of rivalry games. Some got 3, some got 2, some got 1, some got none. But I think if you start looking at it, is the focus is the games that can draw, right?
Yeah.
Miami, Virginia Tech, wherever it is, it normally draws.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's Thursday night and a 3:30 late night game, it draws. FSU's playing Miami, FSU's playing Clemson. That's going to draw. If you kind of look at that, that's the way they've kind of set it up. But they've also made sure that certain corridors are together. The far northeast is together. The Western teams are together. That makes sense. But they kept it to 8. I think, Brian, you were probably more disappointed than us. I wanted to go to 9. You were banging the table for 9, which would make more sense. But, we're staying at 8 games. So is what it is there.
Yeah, shout out Sheldon saying we have to have even number of teams in the conference to move to 9. So we're still one one addition short here of being able to put 9 games on the table for the ACC slate.
All righty. Well, let's take a look. So as we got the schedule up here, again, this is coming. I think I pulled this from David Cunningham's account. Shout out David. Guy's been on with us numerous times. Look at some of the intriguing home games. First of all, I told y'all today, I'm like, they taking Clemson from us. They're going to put Clemson and give us like SMU at home.
Right.
We did not lose Clemson next year. And I think that's really big for the fan base because that's one of those that regardless whether what Clemson is, they're 4-4 this year, if they're undefeated when they come to Lane next year, that is going to be a prime game.
Yeah.
What else intrigues y'all as y'all take a look at this the schedule for roughly the next 7 years?
Well, I don't know. A little bit of what I don't want to say. Well, yeah, fucking made me mad. Kind of what me and you talked about, Curtis. Like Florida State, us having to play them again and go to their house before they come to our house, and then they don't come to Lane until 2028. Like that's a little bit of a headache to me. Like I don't like that part of it. But I don't know, man. It's intriguing to me the Stanford game next year. Yeah. In a way, it's intriguing to me. Even the whole schedule for next year seems very, very Hokie-ish. Like, I don't know. I'm just looking at what we have, and I know we don't know who's coming back and things like that, but you don't look at that and just go, oh, well, there's nobody on there that we're going to want to go see play. That's some decent home games, and then we got some, away games that we've brought back that make you happy. Playing Miami away, playing Duke's playing good ball. Then you got Stanford on there, even though they're not playing good ball this year, but they're going to be new to the ACC. Then, we got Cuse on there, which, hell, fuck the Carrier Dome. But,
yes,
all of that stuff, all of that stuff makes you happy, though. Just to have at least looks like a competent schedule. So,
Brian, what intrigues you on the schedule?
The entire 2028 conference slate looks.
That's a pretty. I mean, seriously. Florida State at home, Louisville at home. Go to the U, up at Pitt, over to Stanford. Let's go to Napa for a weekend.
Let's get introduced properly to SMU coming to Lane. So get them a nice little ACC introduction and a Lane Stadium introduction. So I think that's going to be an interesting year for us. I think if you look at 2027, you get Miami at home, you get Clemson. We'll see if Clemson will still be Clemson in 2027, the way things are going for them, but that's neither here or there at this point. Then you flipped on the other side, you got Louisville, UNC, SMU. I think that 27, 28, that's an interesting slate back-to-back years there. I like this a lot better than what we've seen, what we thought we were going to see for the next 3 to 5 years. So the fact that Miami's back on there, we finally get UVA at home again next year. Clemson staying on the schedule for 2024. We get a team like Georgia Tech that, could be more of a high mid-tier ACC team this time next year. If things keep trending the way they're trending for them right now.
You better not be ranked when you play Georgia Tech.
No, don't. No, you're going to lose.
They're beating the shit out of people when they're ranked. I don't know what it is.
And then you got Duke on there. We'll see if Duke still has Elko in-house. But that could be a pretty intriguing away game next year. That's one I might make my way down to.
Well, the ones like, and that's what I say. Like I like the schedule next year is a solid schedule. Some good away games, some good home games. I look at 2027. Y'all mentioned it already. 2027 is like a great year. Miami and Clemson at home, Stanford at home. And then we were talking about right before we came on, road travel for 2027 is unbelievable. And 2025 too. So for us here in Virginia, it's going to be Virginia and Carolina. That's day trips. You can get up 6 o'clock in the morning and drive Chapel Hill. You can drive UVA. Louisville is a destination. I think Tally was trying to go there this year. He's not going to be able to make it next week. Mm-hmm. And then go to Fort Worth. Look at 2025. Florida State, Georgia Tech. Tally, you could legitimately go to 2 away games that year.
Georgia Tech's easy for me to get to.
Easy for you.
Bobby Dodd Stadium's easy to get to. It's 3 hours for me.
in Florida State's what? We looked at 6 hours.
I think it's about 6 hours. Yeah.
Not a bad drive.
That's the same as me coming to Blacksburg, really.
There you go. So go to the Doak that year. And then you take a look again to local games where it's driving distance for the fan base to go to. So, I mean, overall, I think this is better than what we saw when it was changed a couple years ago or last year. It was a lot better. Again, the entrance trips will be out west. Also, the entrance trip. And the little thing I'm a little scared of is them screwing us on travel with trips to Miami and trips way out west. Brian looked it up. 2024, we have the third farthest travel schedule in the ACC because we're going cross country and we're going to the bottom of the country.
Right.
So we got all that out. I look forward to seeing it. I look forward to these home games. I mean, I keep looking at that Clemson game, and I feel like that might be the one to go to. That might be the one to drop the coin on and go to next year if it's the right time.
Right.
If it's the right time.
Got to make it the right time.
Got to make it the right time. No, I meant if they put that thing up way too late in the season or way too early, it's like, I want Clemson 20. We don't know what to do with ourselves. Last time we went to Chestnut Hill will be this year, and it's going to be like 5 years. It's the best thing. That's our buddy Robbie joining us tonight. Season's over.
Robbie.
He texted us. We will see a lot more Robbie. He got Starlink internet now, and the season's over. Down in North Carolina.
My guy. I hate that your season's over. I'm glad you got better internet. Good job.
When you trade it's like, all right, well, season's over, but at least I got some shit to watch now.
Right.
Well, the whole thing is, Jim, I'll say is this the over-under to 2030? Unless somebody finds a way out, it will be. Now, 2030 could be the year where things start breaking because it's then close enough to where it's saying, okay, we're leaving in a couple years. We can absorb the $200 million hit for
the amount that they have to swallow gets a little bit smaller the closer.
Much smaller. All righty. Well, we have done with that. Awesome. But now it's time for Tell the Truth Monday or Tell the Truth Tuesday on a Monday edition. So y'all know what we do here. If you join us every week, and if you don't, if you're a first time, we talk about what went well. We talk about what went bad. Anything we happen that we're not prepared for, and effectively, what can we do better going forward? And boys, y'all take your poison. We got a bunch of stuff here. What went well? You talk about it. It probably went well on Thursday because we beat them 38-10. It could have been 50.
Yeah, easy. Easy could have been 50.
All right. What caught your eye, Brian?
0. That's the number of fucking yards that Syracuse rushed for in that game.
Man, we should have pulled that one. We should have pulled that one from the locker room.
Yeah, that was when I seen that stat. That's kind of crazy. The rush for 0 yards. We had been looking at a 39-yard rush or 50 yards, 0. I mean, that's a big deal, man. Hold a team to 0 yards rushing, especially a team whose quarterback essentially can kill people on the ground.
He's a run-first quarterback.
Yeah, I think he had like 175 yards or 147 yards against maybe Purdue or something this year.
Yeah,
but
he did.
That's crazy.
Yeah, 0 rushing yards there. The longest run we gave up all night was 14. But I saw that run again today. That run was very well fitted. Allen just made some good moves, and they had some good blocks. We didn't spring any leaks, y'all. And, once we got the lead, what else went well? How about the pass rush and living in the backfield? The reason we played that from the ACC network, literally it was the first play of the game.
Set the tone.
Right in the face.
Yep.
8 sacks, 4 more tackles for loss, 12 total tackles for loss. APR has 2. You know the best part? And I think this made me feel good. Y'all know who accounted for all the sacks?
The defensive line?
D-line.
D-line is playing good, and everybody was doing a job. If you look at the D-line, you got some. They're having the key on APR now. Yep. But you got other people winning their one-on-one battles, and that, like, when you have a running quarterback, you can't just rush him. You know, there's got to be lanes. You got to collapse that pocket. And a lot of times it was just essentially whose hand got to him first. That pocket just kept collapsing, getting smaller and smaller till it's on top of you. So everybody on that D-line looked like they, you know, at least in that game, we still got a long season ahead, but at least in that game, everybody took on the challenge and said, hey, we're not going to let them beat us this way.
Yep.
And, you know, once that happened, it was just you seen what happened.
And the
zero rushing yards.
The ends were flying up the field, but also the D tackles were pushing the pocket, keeping those lanes tight, so Schrader couldn't step up, he couldn't escape outside. Mm-hmm. Everybody was where they needed to be, and everybody was coming full force at that quarterback. Yeah. And I mean that, like Curtis said, we had 8 sacks in that game. Another 4 tackles for loss. I mean, when you can penetrate into the backfield like that and create problems for the quarterback consistently, everything else can fall apart, especially when you're doing a good job in the running game and not letting them run for, you know, big gains where they can keep the sticks moving and stay ahead of the sticks, where they can get some better, you know, quicker opportunities in the passing game. So he had to stand in the pocket and throw downfield, and we were able to get home.
Absolutely. And shout out, we mentioned APR. I'm going to shout out everybody that got a sack or a credited for a sack. Mario Kendricks, Keyshawn Burgos, Norrell Pollard, Cole Nelson, Josh Fuga, James Jeanette, CJ McCray, Elijah Clock, and Keyshawn Burgos. That's a lot. That's the other piece, right? And I know I want to get off this, but that's the other piece. Tally, you mentioned other guys are feeding, and it wasn't just one guy. It was almost the whole, you're next, go eat him.
Yep.
You're next, go get him.
And I mean, you could have given Keontae Jenkins credit for the Pollard sack, because I mean he came off the edge hard, made Schrader step right up to where the deep tackles were collapsed in the pocket, and Pollard was right there to bring him down.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the way it goes.
Well, a couple of things that our buddy Robbie said. He said, where'd you get that concept from? Y'all put that up. Robbie, I know you just getting in here every week, man. They've been giving you credit. We definitely appreciate your your anything that you give us here at BCP, and the knowledge that you have. Always a pleasure to talk to you. And then put that next one up too, Curtis. The next
you lead it off, buddy. You lead it off.
Run game. Hey. We talking about them not rushing. Let's talk about us rushing. That 1-2 punch looked good. You had, Drones did what he needed to do. Just him being in the game helps the run game, but he was able to break some runs. And we got to give a shout out to Tootin, man. It's like this kid just keeps getting stronger and stronger as the season goes on. It's like he was hitting 7-yard runs, and it looked like everybody was. Me watching on TV, like I'm standing up. It's hard to get excited about a 7-yard run, but he's breaking tackles. He's, one step and he's gone. Like, it was great to see just him. I know when he came here, he was good, but just to keep watching him getting better and better against ACC talent. Looks like the line is growing with him, so they're at least giving him a little bit of space. And then also what I like to see is Thomas coming in behind him. Looks like he's learning from him, because I don't know if he was injured or I don't know what the deal was, but he looks different running the ball in these last couple of games than he has at the beginning of the season. He's not going down with one hit. He's finding holes. He's getting more patient. It was one play, I can't remember exactly, what kind of play it was, but it was kind of maybe a stretch play or something. And he waited for he waited on this lineman to flush all the defense out, and he just put his foot in the ground and stepped up field. So to watch him excel or learn from Tootin and get better every week has been good too, because we need both of those guys to win these next games.
Yeah, the run game was very impressive to me. I wasn't expecting to see that. We had kind of seen what this team could do, but I wasn't anticipating them taking this many steps and having that big of a game this quick. Just because we had seen them kind of start to creep towards 200, creep maybe a little past 200 in the rushing game. Yeah, I didn't expect us to bust open for 318. And like you were talking about too, like there was a stretch there where for like every play he was getting like 8 to 10 yards for about like a 6 or 7 play stretch.
Yeah.
And I mean, they just looked like they couldn't stop him.
All right, Brian, real quick, just so we can hit it on this. I think we saw a lot more Brody Meadows on Thursday night than we had. To me, and I told you, me and you talked about it when you were playing poker. We're sitting over here watching the game. Parker Clemens, that didn't look like the Parker Clemens from the first 7 games of the year. Something, it wasn't perfect, but it won't where he was.
Mm-hmm. You know, it may come down to, it may be competition. You know, it may be because I mean, I seen, just from my perspective, I seen some shuffling on the line. At one point, I'm texting Curtis like, Chaplin's not in the game. Is he hurt? And then Parker's not in the game. You know, is Ron Crook trying to get some of these young guys some burn to say, you didn't do your job, you got to come over here and stand with me? Or were they injured? Are they trying to get, like, we don't know. But I do know that when you rush for 318 yards, people who are going in the game, somebody's creating some holes.
Mm-hmm.
And then even when the young guys got in at the end of the game, like, they came off the bench hype.
They were firing off the ball at the end.
You see people firing off the ball at the end, wanting to get in, wanting to show what they can do. So, I mean, that's what you got to do as a football team. You got to build off each other. You have to continue to iron sharpen iron, and you got to have those competition plays in practice. So I'm thinking, from what I'm seeing, that may be it. You know, it's a little bit more competition going on where people's not just comfortable where, well, you're the best we got, you're going to have to go out there. It's like, no, we'll put a freshman in if we need to. We just need somebody to go in there and get this job done. So I agree with you, Curtis. I did look a little bit different. Parker did look just a little different this game than we've seen him. Now, again, it wasn't perfect, but we got to give him a little bit more credit for this game than we have seen in other games.
Yeah, better overall. I mean, when you look at what we want to see, I think progression is what we've kind of been looking for in this offensive line, and we're starting to see a little bit of that. And some of that's mentality. I think some of that is this team is starting to take on at least on the offensive side, is starting to take on the mentality of their quarterback.
Yeah, true.
And when you see the way that Drones has approached these matchups and how he comes out, he's fiery. He's somebody that isn't afraid to go up and deliver a blow when he finishes a run. And I think the offensive identity is starting to kind of feed off of that.
Yeah,
100%. Well, let's talk about Drones on the other part of his game and how efficient he was on Thursday night. 63%, 8 an attempt on 6, 15 to 24. And Brian, talk about what you saw from Felton and Lane, because I mean they carried the load.
Yeah, it was really a good game from both of them. We saw the big play, big deep ball to Felton, that kind of really got things going and really kind of put the game a little bit out of reach, right? That was kind of the play that kind of felt like broke their back, because we had scored a couple field goals, got a touchdown, but that felt like the dagger play. That was the play that kind of broke their will for good and all for the rest of the game.
Yeah,
for sure. And they both had two deep balls. The deep ball Brian mentioned for the touchdown, but Lane's that little deep, whatever he did, the corner. They said Dan Mullen, not a bad analyst, by the way. I didn't mind listening to Dan, because he said he talked about why Lane got his guy. He said he was running it, showed corner, guy bit, he hit post.
Yeah.
And then Drones dropped it right in the breadbasket there, which was great. Here's the other thing I like. You go pull up the box score, guys, and start counting the number of names that got a catch. 9.
Yeah.
9 guys got catches.
Yeah.
And yes, Felton and Lane got 9 of those. But for those other 7, he hit Gosnell, he hit Lofton, he hit Tootin, he hit Malachi, he hit Wright, he hit Gosnell, he hit Holloway. To me, that's where we keep talking about.
You know what that means, Curtis?
Progression.
He's going through progressions. He's progressing and he's going through his progressions. He's checking down. He's doing what a quarterback is supposed to do, which is great to see. Drones is my guy. He's all of our guys. Like, we've been team Drones from the beginning. But I will say, I'm going to toss this back to you, Curtis, because I don't want to call it what went bad. I think we can talk about it here. Seeing Drones, not because he didn't have his A game.
No.
Like, if I rated his game with us winning like we did, I'll say at least a B- is probably where I put him. You know, he missed a couple of guys. He, missed a couple of deep balls, different things like that. Even on the sacks, I feel like, some of those sacks, he can get out of that.
Yes,
the more he learns, because they had a spy on him, and I think he's just better than that linebacker. Linebacker making a great play, but him maybe holding on the ball too long or waiting too long to take off. So I'll say, talking about it while we're talking about this, Curtis, how do you feel, about Drones not having his A game, but still having that mentality to rally the team for us to beat somebody 38-10?
Y'all say a lot about it, and y'all both play at a collegiate level. It's mentality. We blew out a team that was 4-3. Yes, they had their struggles coming in, but they had some. They beat Purdue. They had a couple okay wins. We didn't see this blowout coming. And if you told me, "Oh, you're gonna blow them out," I'd sit here and be like, "Drones went for 285 in the air. He went for 110 on the ground. He accounted for 4 touchdowns total."
Right.
He didn't. But what he also did, like you said, he rallied the troops, but he stayed calm. He didn't get rattled any. When he had one big run, he was kind of getting boxed. They spied him. But Brian, what do you say to this? That when the quarterback has that B- and something like this happens, what does it do for everybody around you? What does it do for the line? What does it do for the wideouts? What does it do for the running backs?
Well, like Tally said, I think the big thing is that when you see a quarterback that can still impact the game with his leadership and mentality, even when he's not playing what you would call an A game or an A- game or that B+ game. We probably got a B game from him overall, but he was still impacting the play in other ways. He was still making the timely throws, even when he wasn't making all the throws.
Right.
The throws he made counted. The throws he made were moving the sticks. The throws he made were going for big touchdowns. So you still were getting some of that as we were going along. And like I said, I think the mentality that he brings to the table, we feed off that because our running game was working. Running game was working. And the only time it was slowing down, and we've seen it week after week at this point. If this team has one flaw, and we're going to talk about it here in a second, if this team has one flaw, it's probably red zone scoring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where two things are happening there. One, you show your inexperienced quarterback. Some of that inexperience shows up in those tighter windows, those more quick decision making that has to take place in the red area. Number two, your offensive line flaws are a lot more apparent because you have a lot less room to work. You got more people in the box. You got more.
Brian, we're gonna let you cook with that when we're gonna go to the next segment. We want to stay on the what went good right now. So don't forget what you're saying.
Yeah, don't forget it.
Because that's all good stuff. But I just wanted to go back. Yeah, I wanted to go back right quick, Curtis, just to say one thing about Drones. And even when he doesn't have a A+ game, like Brian said, the running game is working.
It is.
And this is no disrespect to any quarterback that's played for Virginia Tech or that started the season as the Virginia Tech QB1. Our offense is set up to have a running back be a threat. Drones is a threat. So even if he doesn't run for any yards, he has done it in the past, and that defense is keying on him running. If you watch the linebackers and you watch the ends, their eyes are on that quarterback to make sure he doesn't gash them. So that little bit of time when you give Tootin just that little extra step, and he can get that little extra oomph to get up that gap, up that seam. That's why we're able to hit people for 6 yards, 7 yards, even 3 yards instead of being tackled in the backfield like we were at the beginning of the season. But Curtis, I know you had something else. Go ahead, brother.
Well, I got two because you were talking about the rushing, and I wanted to hit this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Since and I want y'all to both guess at this number. Since Kyron Drones took over at quarterback, do y'all know what we're averaging per game rushing the ball? I'll give y'all this hint. It's in the top 20.
I was going to say I know it's good. It's better than we were at, but
It's
I don't
better than what it
was.
was.
195.
196.
Oh, that's
Hell
good.
yeah.
That's pretty good.
Right,
I didn't even won playing Prices Right, man. I didn't even go over.
Nailed it. 196. That would rank 19th in the country in rushing.
But you got to understand, that's crazy compared to what we – and then, like, you think about – again, we talk about Purdue. This Syracuse team that we just played gashed them. They gashed them running the ball. Us playing ODU, like, we met – what we have, 50 yards rushing?
We had
30 yards rushing? We had a crazy number of yards rushing compared to 319. Like,
what we're doing now is crazy. But you know what? Hold that, because me and Brian remember, we got a state of the program address in December.
Yeah.
Hide all those feelings in the back of your head.
Oh, yeah.
Drinking your moonshine.
We're going to pack them away. We're going to let them flow when the liquor's flowing.
And we're going to do it on a night. Ain't nobody got to go to work the next day.
Yeah, we got to see what these next 4 games going to do.
Jeremy, we're doing that for you too. We know you out there. 2 other pieces to hit offensively. I love the 2 gadget plays. The Malachi Thomas can throw a ball.
Oh, it looked good.
It looked great. And then the XTB reverse. That kid's got some wheels because
he do.
Watching that play, we're gonna lose yards. We're gonna lose. Oh, wait a second.
That was the longest. That was the farthest I ever seen somebody run 9 yards in my life. It looked like he was running for 40 yards. It was a 9-yard game, but like you said, it could have been a loss, but he squeaked something out of it. So
had some jets, had a little bit of wiggle to get some extra yards there. So I mean, that's what you like to see from that type of play.
Yeah,
and it makes them have to think about it going forward. They can't just send those linebackers flowing anytime we have one of those tosses or anything like that. They got to start thinking about in the back of their head. All right, I can't quite pursue like that. I gotta make sure that we're not flowing too quick here, especially guys on the backside too that have that contain responsibility.
When we run a short side toss, you got a request.
Oh Lord, Robbie. Robbie, you know you always got my vote to talk football, man. I don't know if these 2 dudes up here like you, man, but you know I love you. So you always got my vote to drink some moonshine and talk football.
That man was in my wedding. He definitely got my vote.
Definitely.
Quick, 2 more things. Give special teams a shout out. John Love drilling field goals all night.
John Love
and Tucker Holloway. That return. Tell me,
is he topping the ACC right now?
You give me a minute. Y'all talk about what y'all saw because Stu Holt is
somebody posted. Somebody posted something about Tucker Holloway.
He's topping the ACC. He's 4th in the country in punt
right,
return.
and he ain't even got a touchdown yet this year.
No, he doesn't.
That's crazy. But this is what I was going to say, which was cool to. I heard him on somebody's podcast. Was it TSL? I seen him on a podcast. I got to go and find out exactly which one because I've listened to so much stuff. But he's just talking. He seems like a really humble kid, and he talks about just being a team player. And somebody posted that he was, I think, topping the ACC or that stat that you just said. Yeah. And he posted a picture, a still shot of everybody blocking, and he said, "This is why." So he's posting everybody that's got that man locked up in the lane that he has, and he makes one man missing, he's off to the races. So to have that mind to even be humble like that and to bring his teammates into that celebration with him is awesome. So, I mean, we got a lot of good stuff going, man. I mean, I just want us to keep building on this momentum and, finish out the season.
Absolutely. All right, Brian, you ready? We're gonna move to what went bad. The floor is yours because
I got overzealous there. That's my bad.
No, you all good.
But I know what. But Brian, go ahead and say it.
I got on one topic and that led to it. I was like, oh shit! I'm talking about something bad. Holy shit!
No,
I'm a little ahead of myself here.
But Brian, be reality. Why what you were talking about why you want it to change, not only for games, but what could have what could have happened Thursday night could have been big time.
Yeah, it could have been easily a 50 burger if you're more successful in the red zone. And like I was saying earlier, that starts with, there are a lot of reasons that a young team like this, an offense that's still developing like this, is having some of those problems. When you get in the red area, you got a quarterback that's still learning the offense, still overall inexperienced in terms of the number of starts and things like that. That gets harder when you're in the red zone. Those windows get tighter. You see a lot less time in the pocket because you got more guys near and around the line of scrimmage. You add that on the offensive line side, you got more people near the box. They're bringing more pressure. It's harder to get to the second level because there's more people in the box, close to the box. Yeah. So there's a lot of different factors that come into play when you talk about success in the red area versus success between the 20s. So I get why we're struggling, but at the same time, it's something that we need to start seeing some progress on as we play a team like Louisville this week and as we close out these last 4 games of the season.
Yeah. Especially 100%. Like you said, when you're playing somebody like Louisville, where you're going into their house, you're going in as an underdog. If you get in that red zone, you're not going to beat a team like that with field goals. Mm-hmm. Not all the time. A field goal could win it, but you got to you got to get in the end zone. You got to touch pay dirt. So, like you said, all of those things that you talked about are things that our young offense, our young play caller, is going to learn and is going to do better. As far as the offense as a whole, we're going to see that stuff and we're going to start producing there. So I'm excited to see what we're going to be able to accomplish. I guess the next thing, Curtis, I'll throw back to you because it wasn't very much that we can say went bad, but I think you may have had something else that you want to talk about.
Well, just no forced turnovers. We had the opportunity a couple times. I mean, we got the ball on the ground. There were a couple times we got our hands on it in the air, and we just didn't do it. Right. And again, that's the thing, goes back to what Brian said. If we force a couple turnovers in this game, I mean, let's go back 99 and go 62-0. I mean, this game could have been big time bad. Yeah. And to Brian's point last week, Syracuse, to me, is a better team than the bottom.
Yeah,
they're like right there, about to fall under that tier. If they lose again, they're gonna fall into that tier, and we might have sent the death nail into Dino Babers' coffin. But that's the piece. Which, like, this team's a little bit better. They've got a good running quarterback, which always seems to be an issue. Yeah. But we overcame it. And let's go into this. And I'm gonna go ahead and lead mine. Y'all already said it once. Anything happened we were not prepared for. I was not prepared of how we clogged those QB lanes. He did not escape any all night. I was shocked to see that. That's a credit to not only the entire defensive coaching staff, but Chris Marr understanding and getting the guys in the mentality. Like, listen, and I said it, we have to stay disciplined. We were aggressive off the edges, but to Brian, your point, we were pushing the gaps. We weren't moving. We weren't trying to like stunt and shift and slant and all this. It's like, listen, just get up in there. Make sure if he comes up, he's not coming up to anything. And a couple times we got lucky and he took too many steps back and we were able to get up in the interior defensive line and get to sacks. What about you, Brian? What in the world were you not prepared for?
I have not been prepared for how much of a difference having Nasir Peoples out there has made for this defense.
Yeah, it definitely was a big deal.
I mean, we knew that unit was going to be young. I think having his leadership back has been big, but having his play back has been even bigger. And something that I thought was a huge problem the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season has been very much less so since he's been back and healthy. We will get tested again this week on that front, so I'm hoping to continue this trend of this being something that has surprised me. But I like putting that out there, and just a specific shout out to Peoples for his play the last few weeks.
Shout out Nasir Peoples. What about you, Tally? What in the world were you not prepared for? Sitting down, 7:30. I'm sure you took a big, deep breath.
Oh man, 2 things I wasn't prepared for was the time of possession, they only held the ball for 18 minutes. We had the ball for 41 minutes, almost 42 minutes compared to their 18. And this is the big thing. They were 0 for 9 on third down.
Robbie,
0 for 9. Oh.
Yeah, Robbie
got it.
He called it. He called it out. He set you up.
He set you up for it.
0 for 9 on third down. You know, everybody's been in the lane, you know, and on third down, you're up and you're yelling, you got your keys, and then they get a first down and you sit down and you look at Curtis and go, fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I do.
That's what we do
when I'm in there. But I'm at the house and I'm standing up and I'm shaking my keys and we get off the field again and again and again and again. The whole night, like I was not prepared to shut them down. And they go 0 for 9 on third down. Like I ain't never seen nothing like it, man. It was scary.
You know what it felt like? And Brian, I talked to Mitch at work. I messaged him. Mitch is season ticket holder. It felt like the Lane of old. She felt nasty. She felt mean. She felt loud. And they got the bitter end of it. Like Lane bit them. Lane, you listen. I wish we could play that clip again. Go find that and find the 8 sacks. Every single time, it is so loud. You can just hear the crowd right there. So loud at them. I love that. All right. What can we do better moving forward? And I think this is going to be an echo. Be that team every week.
Every week. Consistently.
Stop the run, sack the quarterback, run the ball, pass efficiently, big plays.
Yep. And it's like we know we wish you could, but we know we might not get 8 sacks every week. We understand that as fans that watch football, but we can be a team that shows up and does their job, that fills lanes and doesn't give up a fucking 70-yard touchdown on 3rd and 2. You know, things like that. You know, the big plays, the big running plays have killed us early in the season. So it's good to see that we've somewhat corrected those. You know, you don't want to speak too fast because we still got 4 games to go. But from what we've seen in the Pitt game, from what we've seen in the Wake game, from what we've seen in this Syracuse game, you know, Florida State is a little bit different. Florida State's we don't even talk about that.
Outside of 3 plays, we saw it somewhat consistently against them after that first quarter. So
right. So you know, just be that team, like you said, every week, man, and you know, this season shapes up and finishes up good for us.
Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. Just let's be this team every week. And like Tally said, I don't expect 8 sacks, but I want to see the same type of effort of getting there. Like, you're not always going to get home 8 times. Like, there's going to be quarterbacks that get rid of the ball better than Schrader did. There's going to be quarterbacks that find a way to step up in the pocket differently and able to get the ball out of their hands better than Schrader did. But you're still impacting the play. You're making him move faster. You're making him have to get rid of the ball quicker. If you're consistently doing those things, you're going to be in a good position on defense to get off the field.
And I'll say this too, Curtis. When you say be the same team every week, that means at home and away. We've seen a different team at home than we've seen away. So 100%. This week we're going away. Yep. We're going to play a ranked Louisville team, which we're going to talk about after Curtis gives us some words.
Well, the last piece I'll say is, and y'all talking about it with, you can't get 8 sacks every week. You likely can't. But what you can do, and y'all know this from both playing tight end and line and Tally playing defensive end and everything, you make them think so much. There's going to be times this week where Louisville's going to go and max protect on certain plays because they're going to be like, we screw up on this 5-step drop, he going to be in Plummer's grill and he going to hit it. We don't want that. So what we going to do? We're going to play max protect. I want you shade left. You're going to shade right. We're going to send 3 routes out. We're going to keep everybody else in. And when you start doing that, you start taking away the options.
Mm-hmm.
When you start stopping running the ball and you're filling the lanes, okay, instead of the running back going to where the lane's supposed to be, I'm going to kick it out because they fill in their laps. I'm going to try to get to the edge. And then the next thing you know, is 7 yards for loss. That's what we're talking about. All right, and you are right, Tally. Before we get to know the enemy for the Louisville Cardinals, we are going to take a quick pause from our digital partners and Main Street Pharmacy.
I can probably save you a lot of money, and I can take a lot better care of you. That's pretty much it. My name is Jeremy Counts, and I'm a pharmacist. I own and operate Main Street Pharmacy here in downtown Blacksburg. My brother's a pharmacist, I'm a pharmacist, my uncle's a pharmacist, my dad's a pharmacist. I remember he would give me M&Ms to count in little pill counters. This is just something I've always done, and I'm just lucky that what I know so well is something that I can do and feel good about it and give back to people. Pharmacies are your frontline defense. Pharmacy's job is to make sure you're getting optimal care for the lowest price possible. Also, we take the pressure off of emergency rooms. I'll tell people immediately when they need to go to the doctor, or I'll tell them if they just need a cream over the counter. If there's something that isn't commercially available, if it's something that's not available in a certain strength or a certain form or anything like that, we'll make it. Tailor-made medications. Some of those options save people a lot of money. What motivates me? I get to take care of people and live in Blacksburg. That's all I need.
As we take a quick break, we'd like to tell you about getting your free website report from our digital partner, Grassroots Digital Marketing Studio. They'll tell you how your website ranks on Google, on-site SEO, and social media. No commitment to buy anything. You can get your free report by visiting grassrootsdigitalstudio.com/free-website-report. Now back to the episode.
All righty. So now let's do know the enemy. Let's take a look at the Louisville Cardinals, and let's start on the offensive side of the ball. Yeah, they got their mask back out. Some jokers here. All right, Brian, let's start with the offense. Let's talk about the offensive scheme for this team.
Yeah, man, we got Jeff and Brian Brom, the Brom brothers running the offense here. This is a multiple up-tempo spread. They run a lot of pro-style looks as well. Very predicated on the success of the run game and staying on schedule. And they attack the whole field, but that short catch and run, that's really their bread and butter, and that's where they make their most successful plays is off that catch and run in the short passing game, and also being able to run the football effectively to set all those things up when they take a shot deep.
All righty. So one
and
thing
they're also not afraid of trick plays. You're probably going to see a trick play here or there throughout the game, so look for that as well.
Making us stay on our toes. We did it twice last week. We know that. I want to make one point before Brian starts getting into the players here and we start looking at them. Something that's very interesting about them. They are not a good third down conversion team. 37.5%. That's not a good number. You don't want to be down into that under 40%. But here's the craziest part. They get, they've only gotten 20 first downs on third down. Everything else, almost 75% is on first and second. I know Shelton loves to say it. It's more what you do on first and second. To me, I think about this game right now. We've got to get them there. We've got to get them to third down. I think that's going to be one of our big keys. Brian, let's talk about Jack Plummer. He's a 6'5", 215-pound quarterback. Gilbert, Arizona, and Gilbert High School. He was a transfer from Cal. Well, last season at Cal, he had a pretty good year where he threw for over 3,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 9 picks. He had been committed or had played previously under Brom at Purdue, where he was an 88 as a class of 2018. So he's older. I know you've got some info on that. And so far this year, 2,018 yards, 13 touchdowns, but 8 picks through just 8 games. So a little loose with the ball, Brian. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, he's a COVID year super senior and was really a late bloomer in terms of his time out there. Was kind of in a battle back in 2021 when he was still at Purdue and lost that battle, ended up transferring, had a pretty good season at Cal, and then decided to use that super senior final year to take a chance on himself, go back with Brom and get in this offense. So what I like about him watching his game, he makes really quick decisions and gets rid of the football pretty quickly. From a rushing standpoint, You'll see some occasional quarterback keepers, just mostly to keep the defense honest. He's not a rushing threat. He will sometimes break the pocket, but usually when he does that, he's looking to throw. He's only scrambling if it's a wide open lane there. He's accurate in the short and intermediate passing game. He does take a shot here or there, but that's not really his strength. But what he does get into trouble when that first read isn't open or when he trusts his arm too much. He does have a really good arm, but sometimes he trusts that arm too much and puts the ball in the harm's way. So as Curtis said, he will throw some interceptions in there. So that's what you're going to get with Plummer. You're going to get a guy that can kind of carve you up in the short and intermediate game, but if you can get some pressure on him, make him go a little bit quicker than he's ready to, make him throw the ball further downfield, you might get some pick opportunities there.
Very nice. Tally, who are we looking at next?
Yeah, the person who he's throwing the ball to most of the time is Jamari Thrash. He's about 6'1", about 185, 190. He's from LaGrange, Georgia, 2019 kid. He transferred to Louisville from Georgia State. So this is his first year with Louisville. He was an 83 composite ranking out of high school. Didn't have many big offers. Georgia State, Arkansas State. He had some looks from Georgia Tech, but didn't have an offer. So Georgia Southern, a couple of others that he had offers from. So no big schools really there. And he's been their guy on offense. He has about 712 yards receiving so far this year. Pulling it up right now.
Efforting.
Yeah. He say what now?
You're efforting.
Yeah. He's got 712 yards, 6 touchdowns, his long being 85 yards. Brian, what you got on him?
Yeah, man, he's a big time threat, man. They really use him every level of the defense. Most of the route tree is available to him. Bread and butter is kind of that short stuff, intermediate stuff that he can kind of get a catch and run opportunity when he's got some space there to operate and taking those long distances. But they will throw the deep ball to him as well, usually off that play action. So look for him to really kind of hurt you at every level of the defense. He's a guy you got to keep an eye on the whole time, man.
Yeah,
absolutely. And one last piece about him: teammates with Derek Canteen for the last several years at Georgia State. So maybe we get a little intel.
He went to State Canteen with the Southern.
Oh shoot! No, they both went to State.
No, Canteen went to Georgia Southern.
Oh man!
But he went to Georgia State. And I've got a buddy here that I sold cars with. His son transferred from Georgia State to USC this year. So Southern Cal, his name is Jamil Muhammad. So I've watched Jamil play, and I've seen this kid play before this year, and he is really talented.
All right, so definitely got to keep our eye on Jamari Thrash. And something real quick, we were shooting the breeze about this right before. You take a look after Jamari Thrash, nobody's over 300 yards. Nobody's over 300 yards. The highest next reception, he's got 46 receptions, 17. That's a big stinking gap between wideouts. And one reason it can be a big stinking gap between wideouts is because of their running back, Jahar Jordan. Jordan, 5'10", 185 pounds, hometown of Long Island, New York, originally a commit to Syracuse way back in 2018. He was a 3-star composite, rated an 88 with 247. Played a couple years there before he transferred down to Louisville. Had a solid season last year with over 815 yards, and he has not only surpassed that already this year, he's blown by his touchdown numbers as well, and his average yards per carry. 824 this year, 7.5 per carry, 10 touchdowns. And Brian, is he used out of the backfield?
Some, not a ton. He'll get a couple catches a game, but he's not any sort of primary weapon that they're using in the passing attack. What he is really good at is he has great vision at the point of attack. He can be a home run hitter. He's got that type of elite speed. Like I said, good. He shows good hands out of the backfield, but they don't really target him that heavily in that mode. They'll occasionally throw kind of a screen here or there. They'll throw screens to their wideouts. Screens to tight ends. So they'll throw some screens. That's in their repertoire, but it's not something that they target him a ton on. But he is absolutely the engine that makes that offense go. If he has a rough game, they're going to have a tough time scoring the football. So if we can stop him, we can make them one-dimensional. That's a good sign for us.
Yeah, Brian was mentioning to us right before we jumped on, when he went down in that Pitt game, that offense sort of fell apart. And it did, and we know what Pitt is.
Yep.
We know what Pitt is.
And NC State contained them, and they put up 13 points.
They put up NC State should have won that game. We were mentioning that Brendan Armstrong had been the quarterback. NC State would have won that game. So, Brian, I'm gonna let you. I don't want to say it because I was sad when I had to say it earlier. Let's talk about their offensive line and who's it led by.
Well, it's led by a guy named Brian Hudson. So when you think about that and you think about a few years back and what could have been, that definitely makes you sad because we could really use a Brian Hudson on this offensive line right now.
And a Doug Nestor.
Yeah. You have those two, you're looking pretty good.
Yeah.
You're looking pretty damn good. But yeah, so that's another former Hokie that's shining elsewhere. Graded very highly in PFF last year, is putting out another good campaign so far this year, locking down that center spot, and he's really the guy that helps that team be able to run like they do. I mean, he's very, very good in the run game.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep an eye on. Obviously, the rest of their offensive line, solid run blocking, especially gap schemes. When they pull those guards and tackles, they do a pretty good job of clearing things out there. They do a good job blocking in the screen game. Guys get up to the next level, get a hat on a hat, give them some opportunities to kind of operate in open space there. But pass pro is a mixed bag. Their tackles are only okay. The guard and tackle combination, sometimes if you can run some stunts or some blitzes at them, sometimes they can get confused, and they struggle with blitz pickup off that edge pretty well. So if we're attacking off the edge with Keonta or Kalai Lawson on the other side, I think we're going to be all right.
All right,
have some chances to get home.
All right, so there is the offense again. This is a pretty dangerous offensive team, and you see the weapons and you see how much they're scoring. So it's good to have knowing some news notes on the way they like to do things. We appreciate that, Brian. All right, Brian's work's never done. Next, he has to go look at the defense. And Brian, let's talk about this defense, and because it is a change, right? Because they were a 4-3 last year under Brian Brown with Scott Satterfield.
3-4.
3-4. Oh, excuse me.
Yep.
3-4. What they have changed completely this year.
You're looking at a 4-2-5 scheme. They employ that stand-up defensive end that we've seen a couple times this season. We'll shift into kind of a 2-4-5 nickel package when they're trying to get after the passer on those third and long situations. Not super blitz heavy as much as you would think for a 4-2. But they do like to bring pressure, and they will shift the fronts to create confusion. So, not something we're unfamiliar with here, but probably a little less aggressive, leaning a little bit more on their defensive line to get some pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, and that group is led by Mark Hagan and Ron English. They are a co-DC unit. Watching that game on Saturday afternoon, English is the play caller. They mentioned that several times. But something that I found very interesting, and this really piqued my interest, was they are 19th in the country in sacks. That's pretty good, right? You top 25 in sacks, you're getting to the quarterback. Usually you see that it correlates to tackles for loss. They're not big on that. 70th in the country in tackle for loss. And Brian, they do have a really good defensive end that is making some hay. He is pretty high up in the country as far as it comes to total sacks. He's got like 8.5. Let's talk about Ashton Gillett, who is a 6'3", 270-pound defensive end out of Boca Raton, Florida, class of 2021 and 85. All he was an 85 when he came out. Biggest offers, this is where you always look at those stories, Maryland, Duke, Kansas, Wake Forest were some of his big offers. And he, like I said, 8.5 sacks. 8.5 sacks so far this year, 27 tackles. He's forced a couple fumbles. He's balling. And what can we do to stop him, and what's he show?
Yeah, I mean, typically he's the hand in the dirt defensive end, though they will kind of have him standing up depending on the alignment, but usually he's the guy with the hand in the dirt. He's coming hard off the edge. Really good against the run. Will also be very good in the pass rush game here. Steady when they run at him, but plays flat and fast in pursuit, so he does good there as well. But he does get after the quarterback, especially if you give him one-on-one opportunities. He can be neutralized a little bit when you run another guy at him, but obviously that's going to take away from protection elsewhere if you're doing that consistently. So when he gets one-on-one opportunities, he can get after the quarterback pretty good.
Yep, and I was mentioning where he was. He's 5th in the country in sacks. 5th. APR's 4. There's only 3 guys in front of them, and there is only one Power 5 guy in front of those 2, and that's Jonah Ellis out of Utah. So those boys are doing work regardless. All right, I want to flip. Let's go back one unit. Let's talk about the linebacker room. And I looked, and he caught my eye was TJ Quinn. TJ Quinn out of Valdosta, Georgia. Loudon's a 2021 recruit. 85, not a big recruit. If you go to his 247 page, everybody.
Orange Hokie jersey.
Hokie jersey. He officially visited the Hokies back in 2020. He was on our radar. And now he's down at Louisville so far this year. Get the stat line up here.
He was one of them silents, wasn't he?
Yeah, of course.
Silent. 62 total tackles, 1 fumble recovery, couple pass deflections. And, the last couple weeks he's had really good weeks. 19 total tackles between Pitt and Duke, and pass deflection and a 1.5 tackles for loss. Brian, where is he playing exactly, and what do we need to be wary of him for?
Yeah, he's playing that safety spot, really balanced safety. They kind of use him both as a ball hawk and in run support. Great zone coverage defender. He's decent in man, but he can get caught in space with some double moves. So if we're running at him, throw a little double move on there, get him a little shifty. He might get turned around a little bit. But he does a good job of filling in the running game. He gets there. He's not the best tackler. He's not the most sure tackler, but he is a willing hitter when he comes in the box. And, as you said, he's a guy that we've seen kind of a lot over the years. We saw him a lot with that UNC matchup in the Coastal. So we're very familiar with his game. And it's interesting how we almost had this as the matchup that we would have been talking about in 3 weeks or 4 weeks at this point instead of talking today, because he did play the spring game at UVA. So it's been a weird journey for Cameron Kelly from a Hokie silent commit to a UVA spring practice participant to now a Louisville starting safety. So
definitely. When you talk about Cameron Kelly, he was committed to Virginia Tech, and then he went to Auburn. Then he transferred from Auburn, and he went to North Carolina. Then he transferred from North Carolina and went to UVA. Then he never played at UVA and went to Louisville. So he's been kind of all over the place. But he's having a good year this year. He's going to be, he's going to be tough for our wide receivers to get loose on. So I'm just excited to see what they can do.
Absolutely, boys. So now we got that. We got the key players on each side of the ball we feel could have impacts, or potentially guys if we can take out of the game, especially the offense. We take any one of those 2 offensive weapons out of the game, it will drastically hurt that team. We've got to talk about our keys. Brian, you've been talking a lot, so I'm going to let Tally lead this one so you can get a little sip of water and catch your breath. Tally, what's your key to this game?
Get on that quarterback's ass. He showed you he can throw picks. He showed you he will throw picks. He can throw touchdowns too. He's got 13 touchdowns and 8 picks. Hey, I like our chances. If we pressure him, he's not going to kill you running the ball. Like Brian said, he may move around the pocket a little bit, but he's not going to escape and, hit you for a 50-yard touchdown. You got to get pressure on him. And if anybody can get pressure on him, I'm going to say the Hokies can get pressure on him. We got one of the best sack leaders, one of the best sacticians in the country on our team. Hey, go get after him. This week it's time to put up or shut up. This is a big week. We've said this every week, Curtis. I know. This weight game is huge. This Pitt game is huge. This Syracuse game is huge. But really, this game here, you're going on the road and you're playing a ranked team.
Yes, you are.
And whoever wins this game is in second place in the ACC. There are no more divisions. So this is a huge game.
Yep.
This is a game where Virginia Tech can put themselves on the map more than they are.
Yep.
Brett Pry can solidify his coaching career here. And this team this season, man, they've turned it around. They've turned it around already, but we still got big goals. Like I said from the beginning, I said, hey, just get me to a bowl game. These guys may be looking for ACC championship, man. And I got to say this before I let y'all say what you said, because Grayson wanted me to tell Shelton, but even though Shelton's not on here tonight, Grayson said, Shelton, you got to quit telling people that they can't dream about the ACC championship. Let us dream. That's what Grayson said. And I think his words was tell Shelton to kick rocks. I'm just saying, you Shelton, I don't think you're feeling good tonight, man. But when you watch this, Grayson said, let Hokie Nation have this. They want to get this. They want to get to this ACC championship. Mr. Drones, what's going on, my friend?
Mr. Drones, how are you doing tonight? Good to have you along with us. And Brian, I am going to pitch back to you now because we usually do 4. Shelton's not here, so I'm going to take the 2 at the end. And I know you got one on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, really, I mean, it holds true on both sides of the ball. You got to be effective on first downs, stay on schedule as an offense. And on the other side, we need to stop them from being effective on first downs. That way we can get pressure on that quarterback, make him make some mistakes, get those sacks, get those interceptions. So that's the key for me. Go out there and be effective on both sides of the ball on first down. Get us into a situation that's favorable, keep them in unfavorable situations.
All right. So I got 2. The first I've kind of already alluded to. We've got to get them to third down. Get them to third down where they seem to struggle for whatever reason. I'm going to assume, Brian, you tell me if I'm right or am I going down the right road. The reason being that sort of tempo offense, if you're getting them in the third, they haven't probably hit a good play, right?
If you're getting them to third, number one, you can't run tempo unless you pick up that first down. Number 2, if you're trying to run the tempo, that means you've had 2 plays that have not been what you would call successful plays. They might have been good enough to get you in a third and short situation, but they are not what you really want to see from a tempo situation. Tempo, you want to be successful on first and second. You want to keep the defense on their heels. You want any third down you get to be a third and 1 or 2 yards.
There we go. And if they're not hitting tempo, it probably means they did not hit at least a 5+ play. The second piece, and I said it earlier, we need takeaways. If you go look back at the Pitt game and you look at the NC State game, they turned the ball over multiple times. I think we need 3. I think we need 3 turnovers in this game. And now we got to go make our predictions, boys. Prediction and our big screeners, which we're going to talk about, is presented by Prize Picks. Our big screener segment, always presented by Prize Picks. Prize Pick, a daily fantasy app where you make entries based on player projected outcomes. This week, I'm going to tell you what I'm going with. The Jets are playing the Chargers. Justin Herbert's at 267.5. Go under because the Jets are a really good defense. Zach Wilson's at 198.5. Zach Wilson's not a good quarterback. Go under. Take the 2 unders in that, and that should help you make a little bit of money for the prize picks. So, again, prize picks, they will match up to any deposit up to $100 when you sign up using the code BCPicks. QR code there on the screen or boundarycorner.bcpicks. I do not have our record from last week. I forgot to pull it up. I don't think it was great, honestly.
Mine's never great. So
Fade tally.
Glad you
Fade tally as
Fade
always.
tally. All right. So I'm going to lead this because as much as my heart wants to do it, my head cannot do it because I say we need 3 turnovers. I think we get 2, but I think we lose a war against Louisville at Louisville 33-30. That stupid line that came out of 12.5 that's already went down to 10. If I'm betting against the spread, give me the Hokies all day because I do think we're going to be able to keep up with them. They have shown they are a good defense, but they have shown flaws at times. I do think Kyron Drones is the most dynamic quarterback they will have seen all year. Honestly, I don't think they'll see anybody else like him all year. So Louisville to win, Hokies cover. And I'm sad about that. Tally?
You know what? Before we started talking and before Brian gave me all of the knowledge that he gave me, I was with you and would have said, the Hokies will cover, but Louisville to win. But I'm gonna say the Hokies are gonna pull one out.
All right.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go with Hokies. I don't know. I want to go 28-21 is what I'm gonna do. I just feel like with our defensive line playing how they're playing and how they've been able to get to the quarterback, I don't know if their quarterback can handle the pressure that's going to come to him, and I think he's going to turn the ball over. And I think we may get those 3 picks. I think we may get those 3 turnovers that you say we need. And I just think that how our guys have responded, they know what's at stake. And I think we're going to go in, and I think we're going to bring our own guts. I'm hoping this is what I'm hoping because we've been a much different team on the road than we've been at home. So I gotta ride with our guys just because I'm not sold on Louisville. Louisville's a good team, but Louisville show they've got a great receiver and they've got a good running game. So if we can at least keep that in check, we got a chance there. So I'm gonna go Hokies 28-21.
All right. Brian, what about you, man?
Yeah, I'm going Hokies here too to cover. I've got this one coming down to the wire, man. I think the Hokies are playing with as much confidence as we've seen in a good while. And I think that's going to feed it. I think it might just be a little too much there at the end with the home field advantage. I've got the Hokies losing a tight one, 31-27 Louisville. I think it's something that you can still have some solid takeaways from, even in the loss. But I'm hoping it goes the way Tally's talking, I tell you.
Yep. We hoping Tally is right on that one. And yeah, you go ahead and put it up. We did not get an official. All we got from Shelton was Virginia Tech.
We're taking that as a cover, not a win, until we hear otherwise.
We'll
put it out there and let you know.
Well, yeah, once he gives us, again, Sheldon under the weather tonight, not going to be here with us. All right. As always, we are college football fans, second after being Hokies fans, and there are actually some good games on the slate this week, a couple overlappings. But let's start with the first one, Brian. I got this one up here, Kansas State at Texas. Huge game for the Big 12. Huge game. With Oklahoma losing last week, they're on the verge of losing potentially their playoff spot. And we got Kansas State rolling down into Texas. Kansas State blew the crap out of Houston, 41-0. I think Texas is coming off a win. And I think for this one, I think Texas is good enough defensively to win this one by a touchdown. I think it's going to be ugly, low-scoring affair, something like 2013 Texas.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Texas as well in this game. I didn't really have a score prediction, but similar to what Curtis is saying, I don't think it's gonna be, super high scoring or a big blowout, but I think Texas will win by a touchdown. I just don't know the exact number.
Brian?
Shelton thought the same thing there, so he has Texas covering here, the 5 line, and so do I. We're going across the board back-to-back here. I think it will be a low-scoring affair, but I think it's going to be something like 24-13 Texas.
All right, low-scoring affairs there in Austin on Saturday. Got a big night game down in Tally's neck of the woods. Tally, what's your game of the week, sir?
Bama and LSU. Man, I remember when this Bama LSU game used to be like 3-6, 6-9. You know what I'm saying? Some crazy
we saw that game, and then they gave it to us again later in the year, man.
Yeah, it would be some ugly knockdown dragouts between these two teams. And I don't know if people know a lot about Texas. I mean, about Alabama and LSU. They really hate each other. That is two schools that are a big rivalry for each other. So, man, I'm gonna go Bama on this, man. I mean, I think Bama is hitting their stride. I think they found out similar to how we did as far as their quarterback situation. Who's the quarterback, and they've endorsed him.
Froze up.
I'm gonna go Alabama. I don't have a score prediction, but I'm gonna say Alabama, and they're gonna cover
the 4. All righty. What Shelton got there, Brian?
Shelton's going Bama here.
All right, I'm against y'all on this one. I don't know who wins the game, but I think based on there's been shaky play from Alabama at times, there's been shaky play from LSU at times. Still to this day, Nick Saban cannot figure out guys who are athletic at quarterback. He's always struggled. You go back a decade ago, he struggled with Tyrod when they were out-talenting us. Same with Logan. I think LSU's going to cover. Give me the 4. I think, you know what, this is probably going to be an entertaining night game to watch because it is going to be an 8 o'clock kick. So give me LSU.
Yep, and we're both in the same path there. I took LSU as well. I just think, as you said, man, they struggle sometimes with these athletic quarterbacks. LSU's got probably one of the best ones in the country. So give me LSU here. I think LSU's going to win this one outright. So Bama will be eliminated from playoff contention here.
Oh, it's going to be a lot of crying if that happened down here.
Oh, man. You'll have to you got to bring on one of their fans next week so we can just hear it.
Yeah.
All righty.
I want whoever calls into some of those SEC shows, man.
Oh, my gosh. Tell me the truth. All right, Brian, who you got?
I got Mizzou and Georgia. This line is kind of crazy to me. I was like, all right, so it floated out there at 16. I was like, let's grab that one because I feel like Mizzou's kind of shown to be a tough out this year.
Yeah.
So, I'm rolling with Mizzou here. I think it's going to be a lot closer than folks are thinking. I do think Georgia has figured whatever they hadn't figured out at the start of the season out. They look like a legit national championship contender now. They look like a team that was probably going to make the playoff, but didn't look like they could go all the way this year. They're starting to look like that team. They've gelled a little bit. I think that 16 line is still a little fuzzy, though. I think it's probably about a 2-touchdown game, but it doesn't quite get to that 16.
No, it's not. Y'all, Georgia tricked us last week, didn't they? Oh, 14.5 to Florida? Yeah, Florida will hang in. And they beat them by like 26.
Yeah.
Georgia by 23. 17.
Man, I don't know if I was putting some money on it, I might not do it, but I'm going Mizzou on this as well, Brian. I kind of feel the same way. Maybe about 14 points, but 2 touchdowns and a field goal. I don't know, man. I don't think Georgia's gonna beat them by that much. I think Georgia wins, but not by more than 16.
All right, what's Sheldon got on this one?
Sheldon is riding with us, man. You're the odd man out here.
The odd man out on this one. Y'all gonna be sitting here after the Hokies pull the upset against Louisville. Y'all gonna turn over to CBS. 49-3. Oh man, we should have listened to Curtis. Just giving y'all grief. All righty. By the way, next game we pull up. This is Sheldon's choice. Go ahead, pull it up, Brian. Oklahoma State, Bedlam. Always a crazy game. For the foreseeable future, this game will not be played with the move. I'm going to put this strictly on Oklahoma because they the big blue blood. You know Oklahoma State wants to play them every year. You know they do. So I'm putting this on Oklahoma. If you're an Oklahoma fan out there, why? Why won't you play them every year?
Yeah, figure it out.
Figure it out. Losing things like this, like we lost Texas A&M, which we'll get back in a few years here, is sad. But for this game, Oklahoma State, Brian, I am not sure what Shelton picked.
He's riding with Oklahoma, man.
He's riding with Boomer Sooner, who are coming off their loss up at Kansas, which did y'all see the ending of that game? I know, Brian, you were doing a bunch of stuff. You see the end? That was insane. Yeah,
it really was. I picked Kansas to cover in that game, though, so I kind of felt good about that, what happened. But I'm going to go Oklahoma in this as well. I think Oklahoma's going to be a little pissed off, and they're going to come in and take care of business.
What about you, Brian?
I got Oklahoma. I think you're going to get a pissed off Oklahoma. This is a team that they might have lost what they're playing for, but they've still got to go through the schedule, win out. I think they're going to refocus, get back to what they do best, and I think that's going to be enough against this the Pokes over there.
Yeah, and I'm with y'all, Oklahoma. I think if they win with Kansas, I think this line would be like 8.5, and then go the other way. But that loss to Kansas is going to piss them off. Give me Oklahoma. And we got one last one. USC UW. Washington is the favorite at -5, Brian.
Got to switch up the graphic.
That's all right. Not a problem here. USC basically had to play for their lives at Cal.
Yeah.
Cal is a team that's struggling, y'all, right now. 50-49. Cal did the right thing, by the way. Cal went for 2 at the end.
Yeah.
They went for 2 at the end.
You're the underdog. You ain't got nothing to lose. You ain't got nothing to play for.
They went for the win.
Let's go for the win.
So here we go. For this game, Brian, USC, UW, who you got?
Dub all the way, man. This Trojan team has not impressed me in really any game so far this season. There hasn't really been one game where they went out there and dominated the way I thought they would, especially after what they looked like most of last season.
Yeah.
They've really underperformed in my eyes all year. So I'm going with the Huskies here.
All righty. I'm next. I'm with the Huskies as well on this one. The Huskies they're not an elite defense. I think they've got enough defense like we've seen between a couple of the losses this year to slow Oregon down. Ain't no way USC slowing down Michael Penix in that offense.
No.
It ain't no way.
Penix might win the Heisman.
He might win the Heisman.
He might win the Heisman. I'm going with the Huskies as well. I mean, why not? From what we've seen from USC, lack of defense. Like why would we think they're gonna stop somebody that's in the Heisman race? So if Shelton has anything different than what we see between us three, we're gonna have to have a talk with him. What do you got? Okay, there we go. There we go.
And I'm gonna do something real quick because somebody I called it 3 in. Rex Parker, one of our listeners out here, you went for every pick, so we're gonna put yours up here. Rex is with all us with Texas. Rex is riding with me and Brian with LSU. I ain't the only one. Rex is riding with Georgia. Rex is going against us. He thinks the Pokes are going to take it personal here. And then let's go here. He's with us on UW, and he does say VT covers. Rex, we appreciate your input. If I'd have caught it earlier, I'd have put them up every time. Oh, by the way, thank you, TIB, for putting this up. Kansas has more wins all time over Oklahoma than Okie State does. That's a tough one to believe.
That's a fun fact right there.
That is a fun fact.
That's a fun fact.
Y'all out there giving us some tidbits. Boys, y'all got your Twitter sphere up. Anything happening? What's happening in the games? I couldn't have all the bandwidth inside the room here tonight because
26-14 Lions up, but Raiders have the ball and are driving.
What about baseball game?
I ain't got that up.
I ain't watching nothing right now, but I know the Lakers started playing at 9:30, and I'm expecting us to lose. For some reason, we don't like playing at the beginning of the year, so
They don't like
we tend to not figure it out until sometime just before Christmas, and then we're like, all right, we'll start playing now.
All right, by the way, Rangers won 3-1 tonight to take a 2-1 lead. I guess that just wrapped up. Hey, the pitch clock works. The game started at 8:06. It's under 3 hours. Put some more up here that we're seeing folks throwing their picks out. My question is, why is LeBron James playing like 26 minutes at the beginning? Shouldn't it be like play heavy the first month, then light for a while, then heavy again?
I don't know what we're doing, man. But he is almost. Yeah, we won one. We beat the Suns without two of their stars. It's still almost lost.
I mean, they had Durant, but they didn't have really anybody else.
Right.
Yeah, 1 and 2. Okay.
I mean, we've been in every game. I guess that's one thing you can say. I mean,
yeah,
it wasn't like we got smoked in any game so far. I mean,
hey, Tally, you sure you want to turn it on? Y'all up right now?
No, I'm not gonna turn it on. I'm just gonna find out. I'm gonna go to sleep and wake up and see if we won.
Everybody, next week when we come back and talk about the game, he's going to tell us he did not go to sleep that night and he stayed up till 12 o'clock watching the Lakers game.
Probably.
Man, Garoppolo just missed a wide fucking open Devontae Adams. He'd still be running right now.
Oh, man. Well, I don't think I'm playing either. Well, boys, if nothing else is broken, let's wrap up this episode of the Boundary Corner Podcast, brought to you by Main Street Pharmacy in Blacksburg. I'm Curtis Wilson.
I'm Brian Siegler.
I'm Jonathan Talley.
Visit our website, boundarycornervt.com, to listen to all of our episodes. Check the merchandise shop out at the Boundary Corner store while you're there. Also, Tally, Sactician. We might have to do that. Sactician.
That's pretty good, right?
That is a pretty good one. Sactician. While you're there, follow us, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, our podcast sourcing, Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcasts. Jason Long plays us out every week. I don't know Jason's bets. He's probably got at least one parlay rolling tonight with the NBA. We're going to start putting this. At least. I mean, hey, we'll be straight up, Tally. His first 5 days on NBA, he has absolutely nailed, which means he's probably going to lose for a month and then claim he's not playing and then get some extra money. But that's neither here nor there. Check him out on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook channels. Go to jasonlongmusic.com to get connected all there. Also for his live events. We thank you all for listening. And as always, let's go.
Hokies!